So you've had a binge out and now you're feeling really low and annoyed with yourself. Now what do? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can get back on track again mentally so that you can feel positive and upbeat again. So hi, I'm Vanessa McLennan and I help people with their eating issues and eating disorders by working on the inner them and also on your mindset. But before we begin, please click on the subscribe button, click on the bell to be notified of my next videos. Now, there are some really helpful videos out there as to what to eat after you've had a binge. Really good meaning videos and with really good advice, about eat healthy, lots of food, lots of protein, nuts, salads, chicken salads, lots of water. And definitely follow this advice because it's, great advice. But I'm talking about mentally here, what we can do to get mentally back on track. Because we have this one side of us, which is the logical side, which tells us to do all of these things that, I've just said. Drink lots of water, eat healthily, get back on track nutritionally. And we also have this other side of us, which is not very helpful. And it's almost like the emotional side of us, driving us, which goes, oh, you've eaten everything, so that's it now, starve. You mustn't eat X, Y, Z, don't eat anything. You've been bad, so God, that's it. Or telling us, oh, that's it, you've had a binge, just so what now, you've ruined it for yourself, so you might as well go and eat everything you want. And it's really sort of telling us to flick between one extreme to the other, and that's sort of what we've got to come against. So if we want to do something different than we've done before, we've got to train our brain and think differently so that we have a different result. So here are some tips on what you can do after you've had your binge to get back on track again. Breathe. Now, I don't mean normal breathing. I'm meaning breathe really deeply. Okay, so I'm going to teach you in a second how to take, a few deep, proper breaths. So the reason I'm saying breathe is because that deep breath allows our mind to just stop and pause, and that's what we're doing. We're just putting the pause button on our thoughts, but also our emotions, right? And so it's a great, resetter. Being in this pause position allows us to just calm that second, and then allows the logical side of the brain to come in, where we can then give ourselves advice to be able to say, okay, let's just drink lots of water, let's just stop for a moment, and let's just think. So, before you might have been on that pattern where after you've eaten, a lot of feelings come in, for instance, like guilt, shame, embarrassment, and then they can cause us to eat even more. Or, as I say, we get these feelings of, that's it, I'm going to binge out and eat everything now. Or we get this, I'm going to not eat anything and I'm going to starve myself. And we want to move away from that. So by just putting on the pause button onto our thoughts that have been recurring, over and over again, we can just stop, and it allows us to think of something different. So this is what I want you to do. You're going to breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, right? And it's called a yoga UGI breath, if anyone wants to look further into it. So you breathe in for 4 seconds. Then you're going to hold that in breath for a further 4 seconds. And then you're going to breathe out for 4 seconds. And then you're going to hold that out breath for 4 seconds. And then if you want to, you're going to repeat it all over again. So in through your nose, hold, out, hold. Now, do this once and then get yourself comfortable with it, and then do it 2 times, and then do it 3 times, and then just keep going. And then ideally you might do it for 12 rounds. So the idea is that if you're able to do this breathing when you're not in an eating pattern, in other words, when you haven't binged, when you're just, a normal day, then that builds this sense of calm and also just a calm and control within yourself. And then when you have then just binged and you need to have something like this to help you just put the stop brakes on it, this is a really good trick. And having built up your bank of calm, it means you've got more in the bank to help you when you really need it. So let me know how you get on with that. change your environment. So after you've just had that binge, one of the easiest ways to change your mindset is by changing your environment, okay? Because it gets you out of where you are, you're breaking that pattern, and you've got to focus or look on something else. So one of the easiest ways to start with is just move your body first of all, even if it's circle your shoulders, move your arms about, have a stretch, go side to side, deep breaths, and then move, okay? Just move somewhere else. So one, it is also getting you out of temptation, because if you are near food and you have that mindset where you're like, oh, sorry, I'm just going to eat everything now. If you're away from food, you can't obviously eat everything. And also, especially if you go outside, take a deep breath, you've suddenly got natural fresh air, and then you can look at plants, you can look at cars, you can look at something. So it's a bit of a distraction technique. But it helps you to, again, just reset where you are. Understand your patterns. When we are in a space of calm and, when we've come out of this sort of like driver to eat more or to starve, right? And we can then perhaps, taking those few deep breaths, we're in a position where we can really sit and be curious with ourselves and just think and go a bit introspective, which is what is needed. So think about your patterns and think about perhaps, from start to finish, what causes you to binge. So you're looking at your triggers. All right, what is it you see? What is it you hear? Or what is it you feel that causes you to go and towards that food? All right, so almost like rewind the clock. Go back to the last time that you binged out and see yourself, or sit in, relive that experience, and you're almost like having this video, but you're in the video and you are doing it frame by frame by frame, and really observing what it is that you were thinking and what is it that you were feeling. So what is it you saw, heard, and what caused you. And then look at, right, what foods did you go to eat? Now, are they really sugary? Are they very salty? Are they, like cheese, for instance, or really strong flavours? Because what this does is also, so you've got to look at two aspects. The flavours, if they're very, very strong and like really sugary, for instance, or salty, they're going to distract your brain because it's going to take you to that flavour. There's also the amount that you've eaten. If you've eaten lots of food and it really, really fills your stomach up, that, and again, is going to take you away because, you're overfilling your stomach. So your brain's got to think about how you're feeling. So, again, it's not judging yourself. It's just looking at it with wonderness and curiosity to go, oh, what's my pattern here? And then after you've binged, think about how it is that you feel, what feelings come in for you. And then also, what you want to think about is, right, why am I binging? What is it that it's taking me away from? So are you using it to suppress feelings, to hide feelings? Is it a pattern that you've had since childhood? And then look at what was going on for you in childhood that's caused you to respond this way. So the less judgmental you can be about yourself, the better, because the more then that you can start to understand these patterns and work out why it is that you're doing it, you're able to change your triggers and able to change the environment and your thought patterns so that you are getting out of this, cycle that you've been in. Be kind to ourselves. So after a binge, in comes a lot of harshness, I think. I've heard many of my clients say that they, tell themselves how useless they are, out of control they are, how they have no willpower, and really sort of berate themselves, get harsh with themselves. And I think, we all do that up to a certain extent, don't we? We beat ourselves up, and we perhaps got to then stop that and look at the purpose of why we're doing that. What are we trying to achieve by being really harsh on ourselves? What are we, hoping that it will do? And I think a lot of the times we hope that if we are that real harsh with ourselves, that we won't, go and binge again. But if we take a step back and look at logic, and if you have done that pattern before and you have still binged, then it hasn't worked, right? And it's time to try something different. And that different is by being kind to ourselves. So even if we have just had a binge and you're like, I have eaten, 2 whole packs of biscuits and a whole can of Coke, whatever, whatever you have eaten, it's just by taking that step back to go, okay, right, that's where I was. That's okay, all right? And it's just also perhaps by forgiving ourselves, just by saying, look, okay, this is what we did this time. I'm on track to do something different next time, okay? I'm all the time looking to improve myself, and it's minute steps forwards, all right? This is where I am. And just forgive yourself for what you've eaten. I'm just responding to the environment. I'm just responding to old patterns that are still there, all right? But by being kind to ourselves, it sure enough does feel a lot better and a lot nicer to ourselves than being harsh with ourselves. Resist the urge to go on a diet. And now this is where perhaps if you've eaten lots, you're so tempted to then go, no, I'm gonna, starve myself. And this is then just going to cause you to go and eventually binge out again, because I'm really going to shout, no, don't go on a diet, because it's this restriction and this deprivation that's of course going to want to make you break free and want to eat lots. So this is where I'm definitely going to say, follow all of that healthy advice that people give to, drink lots of water, to eat lots of healthy food, lots of fruit and veg, and lots of, protein, for instance, so that you're giving your body perhaps what it needs, on a nutritional sense. And also, if you go into this restriction mode, then your mind's going to go back into that same pattern, and this is what we want to break, all right? So do your best, and I really urge you to no, do not go on a diet. Hope some of those tips are really, really helpful, and let me know in the comments below which ones work for you. Thank you.